Hello, Duke. John Scheyer and Cameron Boozer on Duke's victory over Michigan State. We have 9 quality players. Duke's 66-60 victory over Michigan State on the road on Saturday was more than just a win against a ranked opponent. It was a public confirmation, in a hostile environment, of something that had already been perceived throughout the season. This Duke basketball team has real depth, competitive maturity, and a level of collective confidence that puts it on another level at the start of the year. At the end of the game, the words of John Scheyer and Cameron Boozer simply translated aloud what the court had already made evident. The game started difficult, choppy, physical, exactly as expected when facing one of the country's most traditional programs on its own territory. Duke went into halftime trailing, and Cameron Boozer, the team's main reference offensively, had scored only 2 points in the first 20 minutes. The scenario was maximum pressure. It was then that the second half exposed the essence of this roster. No player needs to force anything because there's always a collective response. Boozer returned transformed, aggressive, dominant on both ends of the court, leading Duke with authority during the most critical moment of the game. The 16 points he scored in the second half completely changed the course of the game. He attacked the basket, read the defense, distributed passes, and controlled the team's emotional rhythm. In the end, his numbers impressed. 18 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. A complete performance that goes beyond scoring and reveals why he has become the main cog in this team. But perhaps the most relevant fact is another. Even on a night when the start wasn't favorable, Duke never gave up. John Scheyer summed up this spirit well by highlighting how he placed Boozer in favorable positions, exploiting his strengths, and transforming the second half into an exercise of efficiency and collective intelligence. More than that, the coach made it clear how much this victory represents for the group's development. Facing Michigan State on the road, struggling, fighting back, turning the game around by a narrow margin, and sustaining pressure until the final play is the kind of experience that shapes high-level teams for the rest of the season. And what makes this triumph even more significant is the context. Duke reached 10 games in 10 games, maintaining their undefeated record and achieved their 4th victory against ranked teams. They had already beaten Kansas, Arkansas, and Florida, and now add Michigan State to that list. This is not a statistical fluke. It's a sequence that builds national respect and positions Duke among the most solid groups at the start of the year. The most symbolic aspect, however, appears in Cameron Boozer's post-game statement. When he says the team has 9 quality players, he's not just referring to the rotation. He's pointing directly to the group's identity. Duke doesn't depend on a single protagonist to decide the game. Nicholas Kamenea contributed 10 points and 9 rebounds. Caleb Foster was decisive with 12 points and the three-pointer that practically sealed the result in the final seconds. In previous games, other players have taken on this role. In 2 consecutive games, as Boozer pointed out, different players were the deciding factor. This is a clear picture of a roster that trusts the system, the extra pass, and the collective reading of the game. Boozer's individual numbers throughout the season help explain his influence. Averages exceeding 23 points, shooting above 56% from the field, efficiency from three-point range, and consistency from free throws. But perhaps the most notable growth lies outside the statistics. He doesn't just score, he orchestrates, creates space, accelerates when needed, and slows down when the game demands control. In Michigan, this was clear during the most delicate moment of the game. Isaiah Evans, Patrick Ngangba, and Caleb Foster continued to support Scheyer's project with consistent production, rim protection, spacing, and decisive plays. Duke has built a roster that can adapt to different styles of opponents, whether it's a fast-paced transition game or a physical half-court matchup as it was against Michigan State. This ability to adapt is perhaps one of the greatest virtues of the blue team today. Boozer's post-match comments also reveal a team aware of its responsibilities. When he says that he always needs to make the right play because his teammates will find him and vice versa, there was a clear message of maturity. There is no anxiety for isolated protagonism. There is an understanding that the collective is what sustains the unbeaten streak.